Hello everyone, it's that time of the week where we dive into what's been happening in the World of Warcraft. By far the biggest news this week is also very sad news. Amid what seems to be almost daily announcements of layoffs in the gaming industry was the news that Microsoft is laying off approximately 1,900 people across its gaming division, with Activision Blizzard being especially impacted. The impacts to Blizzard include the cancellation of the survival game and the departure of both Blizzard's president, Mike Ybarra, and chief design officer and Blizzard founder, Alan Adorn. Other reports indicate that Blizzard's CS teams are being shut down, with CS being merged into Microsoft CS, which is reportedly outsourced. While I don't know any of the developers beyond following a few in social media, my love of WoW makes this hit a lot harder than any of the other announcements I've seen. I found out about this about 6 AM in Los Angeles time, where the bulk of Blizzard staff live, which means many of them probably found out from social or other media instead of being told by their employer. There's no good way to share news like this with staff, but Microsoft seem to have chosen one of the worst ways possible. My thoughts are with the entire WoW team, who are all affected in some way, either through the loss of their job or by seeing their friends and colleagues losing their livelihood. And indeed, my thoughts also apply to all the other developers in the industry who are going through the same thing. It feels a bit uncomfortable to think about video games in times like this, but we've all invested a lot into the game, both financially and emotionally, so it's quite normal to have some worries. It's not fully clear what impact this is going to have in World of Warcraft, but executive producer Holly Longdale tweeted that won't be affecting the WoW's roadmap, and of the WoW developers that I follow on social media, I haven't seen any reporting that they're being affected. But even if the dev team isn't affected, the changes to customer services will without doubt mean that we can probably expect some poorer customer service when things go wrong in the future, especially the near future, given the apparent speed at which Microsoft are letting people go. And there are going to be intangible impacts to the dev team from the effects of seeing many of their friends and colleagues that are going to be leaving. And it's simply, I think, inconceivable to me that there won't be at least some impact. Hopefully it'll be minor, but yeah, I think that just remains to be seen. My thoughts, though, are definitely with all the affected people and also those who have survived. Their efforts have had a massive impact to my gaming life, and knowing that this is happening to them at a time when the gaming job market is contracting really does make it hit especially hard. I wish all of them well, and hopefully all the people that are affected are able to find new positions quite soon. Now, in many ways it feels a bit crass to go on to talk about a video game after all of that, but this is a gaming channel, and so it's time to turn to what's been happening in-game. With the weekly reset, we got a bunch of tuning changes, including very major buffs to several underperforming classes. That includes Death Knights, Feral and Restoration Druid, Survival Hunter, Holy and Retribution Paladin, Holy and Shadow Priest, Restoration Shaman, and Arms and Protection Warrior. All of these were most definitely off-meta classes in the current season, and I suspect the buffs are going to be very welcome for a lot of the players that will be affected by them. We're also seeing PvP players benefiting from 2 rounds of tuning, which again were predominantly buffs. It's really nice to see tuning being done by buffing rather than nerfing other classes, so overall I think this is a good thing. PvP players also benefit from buffs to Conquest Acquisition and the removal of the Conquest Cap. Over in the PvE front, we got a new source of Catchup Gear, with a chest being added to the Mythic Keystone NPC in Voldraken, which rewards a random item level 441 piece of gear. This item costs 350 flight stones and requires you to be 1k Mythic Plus score. I'm almost permacapped in flight stones, and with someone with a very large alt army, I am enjoying having something to spend those excess stones on, albeit I would have preferred if the vendor allowed us to choose what's purchased. A completely random PvP chest does make acquisition a little awkward, but you know, it's still better than not having it. The manuscript of Endless Possibilities, which randomizes dragon riding appearances, has been converted to a toy which enables account-wide use. This should have appeared in your toy box if you've already bought the manuscript, albeit I have seen a few reports of some folks getting it. Hopefully those folks can get that issue resolved quite soon. Now, slightly annoyingly, this has also changed the buff that you get from using the toy to a 1 hour duration, and the toy itself has a 1 hour cooldown, which makes it quite a bit more annoying to use. The buff also drops off in death, so that annoyance is actually quite significant. I honestly don't really understand why this has a cooldown at all, given the nature of the toy. I'm hoping that this is maybe just an omission in the part of the devs and it can be improved in due course. Having an ability to randomly change your dragon riding makes collecting all those manuscripts a lot more interesting, and these limitations, I think, for me, are taking a little bit of a shine off it. Perilous, the Season 3 legendary weapon, also got some quality of life changes to make it easier to use. Now, I've not been a huge fan of Blizzard's approach to legendaries this expansion. We've been trained to see them as essential to our classes, and the RNG acquisition always results in winners and losers, with the losers just having their experience of the game harmed. I also prefer simplicity in gearing, and having slots kind of getting locked out by outlier items like this does limit the gearing options. As previously announced, the former TCG toy, the Grim Campfire, is currently available as a Twitch drop. All you need to do is to watch your favourite WoW streamer for a total of 4 hours over on Twitch. This promotion ends on the 30th of January, so there's not much time left. So if you do want that item before it disappears again, don't hang about. In an unannounced hotfix, we were also awarded the Champion of the Dragonflights achievement and title. This title was mentioned by Alex Straza in the 10.25 cinematic, and I remember at the time I was actually really surprised that my character didn't actually get the title. I have a feeling that this was probably always intended to be in the game and it's just been some kind of a bug or a mission, but yeah, I guess the local authorities in Valdrakken have some bureaucracy issues, and it just takes some time to actually deliver the titles when their queen awards them. Who would have thought? Now, a regular spot I plan to have in these news videos is PTR Watch, which is where I will cover news from Blizzard's public tests and from data mining. This section's always going to be a bit spoilery, so I put it at the end of the news so that you can drop off if you don't want to be spoiled. You have been warned. That having said, I will be trying to stay away from story spoilers as much as possible and just concentrating on things like new items and new gameplay stuff and other bits and pieces like that. On the subject of new items, a bunch of new trading post items have been found in the game files. The top item is a new dynamite offhand, which looks really, really cool. There's also a desiccated bouquet item that looks like some very wilted flowers. There's a new pet, a two-handed polearm with a flag pennant and a bunch of other weapons, along with some transmog and symbols. Now, in my experience, items hotfixed in towards the end of the month like this often end up in the following month's trading posts, so this may well be those items, but do keep in mind that not everything does make it into the game. We'll probably get an announcement about the trading post next week, and we'll see what's actually in it then. There isn't any new mounts that have been data mined, but we are expecting an already data mined fox mount to be the monthly reward next month. Now, while we're still waiting for 10.26 to arrive, one of WoW's vendor CDNs has been updated to 10.26. Now, if you're wondering what that is, a CDN is basically just a system for efficiently delivering content across the internet. And the vendor CDNs, we think, are used so that the team can share updates with hardware vendors for testing purposes. The significance of this for us, though, is that the arrival of a patch on a vendor CDN usually happens shortly before it turns up in the PTR, so we might well be getting some news very soon. That said, I think it does remain to be seen how much the WoW team will want to share publicly, given the mystery around this patch, or even if there will be a PTR. But I'm certainly hoping there'll be something that we'll be able to pour on quite soon. Well, it's been a fairly difficult old week to be a Blizzard fan, but what do you think? Will we see the PTR soon? Do you even want to see a PTR? Let me know in the comments below. There's going to be more news, reviews, guides and comments on this channel soon. If you want to know when the new video goes live, do make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. I know that given the news this week, liking the video doesn't really feel like the right sentiment, but those likes do serve to tell both me and YouTube that you found a video useful. So if you'd like to see me continue to produce these, do still go ahead and hit that thumbs up below. But that's all for now, folks, and hopefully I will see you again soon.